Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going somewhere incredible.
We are. Okay, I'm ready.
This time we're heading to the island of Madagascar.
Oh, wow. Madagascar. Now that's a place I'd love to see someday.
Me too. I mean, have you seen the pictures?
Unbelievable landscapes. And the wildlife, totally unique.
Right. And our listener is super curious about some of its most famous residents.
Lemurs, right?
You got it, lemurs.
Oh, I love lemurs. Those big eyes, that bushy tail.
Don't forget the incredible diversity.
Yeah, over 100 different species.
Did you know there are tiny mouse lemurs?
Really? How tiny are we talking?
Think like the weight of a AA battery.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I know, but then you have the injury.
The injury,
It
they
can be almost a meter long.
Seriously.
Wow.
Wow, that's quite the size difference. I can see why our listener wants to know more.
I'm excited to dive in and learn all about them with you.
Me too. Let's get started.
So first things first, Madagascar itself. It's the world's fourth largest island, right?
It is, yeah, and it's been isolated for millions of years.
And that isolation is what makes it so special, right?
Exactly. It's like its own little evolutionary bubble. Over 90% of the wildlife there is found nowhere else on Earth.
That's amazing. Okay, so lemurs. Tell us about them. What are they exactly?
Well, they're primates, like us.
Really? I guess I never really thought about that.
Yeah, but they're a very unique type of primate found only in Madagascar. And as we said, they've evolved into over 100 different species to fill all sorts of ecological niches.
You mentioned the tiny mouse lemurs and the larger indra, but what about the ones in between?
Oh, there's a whole range. You've got sophakas that leap incredible distances through the trees.
Like little furry acrobats.
Haha, exactly. And then there are the bamboo lemurs who, as their name suggests, primarily eat bamboo.
Oh, of course. So cool. Okay, I have to ask about the ring-tailed lemurs. That black and white striped tail is iconic. What makes them so special?
The ring-tailed lemur. They are definitely one of the most recognizable, and they're unusual, even for lemurs. Well, unlike a lot of their lemur relatives, they spend a good amount of time on the ground.
Oh, right. I remember reading that. And their social structure is really interesting too, right? Something about female leadership.
Yes. Ring-tailed lemurs live in large social groups, often led by females. They're matriarchal, which is pretty unique in the animal kingdom.
Girl power. I love it. Does that mean the females are in charge of everything?
Pretty much. They get priority access to food, they decide who to mate with, and they even lead the group when they travel.
Wow, talk about taking charge. What about communication? I read they're super vocal. What kinds of sounds do they make?
You're right, they are very vocal. They have a whole range of calls, from wails and purrs to clicks and grunts. They use these sounds to warn each other about predators, locate food sources, and maintain social bonds within their groups.
So it's like their own little language. Fascinating. But their role in the ecosystem goes beyond just communication, right? They're important for the environment too, aren't they?
Absolutely. One of their most important roles is as seed dispersers.
Seed dispersers. How does that work?
Well, lemurs eat a lot of fruit, and when they do, they swallow the seeds along with the flesh.
Okay.
Then as they move around the forest, they poop out the seeds.
Huh.
And those seeds can then germinate and grow into new trees, helping to regenerate the
So
forest.
they're like little gardeners. That's incredible. But sadly, I know things aren't all rosy for lemurs, are they?
Unfortunately, no. Lemurs are facing some pretty serious threats right now. The biggest one is habitat loss.
Deforestation, right?
Exactly. Madagascar's forests are being cleared at an alarming rate for agriculture, logging, and charcoal production. And as their habitat shrinks, lemur populations decline.
It's so sad to hear that. The sources mention something called tavy being a particularly destructive practice. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. Tavy is a traditional agricultural technique in Madagascar where farmers clear land by cutting and burning sections of forest.
Slash and burn.
Yeah, essentially. And while it's been practiced for centuries, the problem is that it's happening on a much larger scale now due to population growth and economic pressures.
So it's putting even more pressure on the forests and the lemurs that depend on them.
Exactly. Sadly, many lemur species are now considered critically endangered by the IUCN. In fact, they're one of the most threatened mammal groups in the world.
That's heartbreaking.
Mm.
But it's not all doom and gloom, right? There are people working to protect lemurs, aren't there?
Absolutely. There are some incredible conservation organizations doing amazing work in Madagascar. Groups like the Lemur Conservation Foundation and the Madagascar Biodiversity Partnership are leading the charge.
What are some of the things they're doing to help?
They're working on multiple fronts. They're establishing protected areas, restoring degraded habitats, and working to stop poaching. But one of the most important things they're doing is engaging with local communities.
That's so crucial. I read that lemurs hold a special place in Malagasy culture.
Yes, lemurs feature prominently in Malagasy folklore and mythology. There are all sorts of beliefs and taboos surrounding them. For example, in some communities, it's considered taboo to hunt or harm certain types of lemurs because they're believed to be the spirits of ancestors.
Wow, so these cultural beliefs can actually help protect lemurs.
Absolutely. They provide an additional layer of protection, and conservationists are working to incorporate these traditional beliefs into their conservation strategies.
That's amazing. So it's not just about saving lemurs, it's about protecting the culture and traditions that are intertwined with them.
Precisely. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of everything.
It's been such a fascinating journey learning about lemurs, but I wanted to take a step back for a second. Why should people care about lemurs, especially those who may never even have the chance to see one in person?
That's a great question. It's about more than just saving a cute and cuddly animal. Lemurs play a vital role in maintaining the health and biodiversity of Madagascar's unique ecosystems. They're seed dispersers, pollinators, and a food source for other animals. Their loss would have a ripple effect throughout the entire ecosystem.
It's a delicate balance. What would happen to Madagascar's forests if lemurs disappeared?
It's hard to say for sure, but we know it wouldn't be good. The forests would change, and likely not for the better. We could see a decline in plant diversity, an increase in invasive species, and a whole cascade of negative consequences.
So protecting lemurs is about protecting the whole ecosystem and in turn protecting the planet.
Exactly, it's all connected.
So for our listeners out there who are feeling inspired, what can they do to help?
Well, the first step is to learn more. There are so many great resources available online. You can also support organizations like the Lemur Conservation Foundation and the Madagascar Biodiversity Partnership. Even small donations can make a big difference.
Right, and spreading the word is so important too. The more people who know about the plight of lemurs, the better.
And don't underestimate the power of your choices as a consumer. Look for sustainably sourced products from Madagascar, like vanilla or chocolate. By supporting businesses that are committed to conservation, you can help protect lemurs and their habitat.
That's great advice. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope our listener has too. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us.
My pleasure. It's been great chatting with you.
And to all of you listening out there, remember that even though Madagascar might feel like a world away, we all have a role to play in protecting our planet's incredible biodiversity. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Until next time.
See you then.